Screw it. We're doing a fourth one. We are doing a fourth one. Now, let's look at this thumbnail. Some weird statue. And, well, this comment's funny. I saw the thumbnail and I literally went, whoa, holy shit. And I showed my mom and she looked at me. I'm gonna feed you to one of these. I wonder if they actually believed it was real. So, yeah, that's a funny comment. Anyways, let's get into the video. I scrolled through this a bit, and I saw movie clips of inaccurate plants, so I'm like, okay, I'll review it.
It's called a dog-eat-dog world for a reason.
Dog-eat-dog world? How is that relevant?
Some animals eat other animals.
You're showing a cat and a cow. What does that have to do with dogs?
Animals eat plants and plants. Plants get their energy.
Hold on, so, dog-eat-dog world. You showed a cat, a bird, and a cow. That doesn't make sense.
It's called a dog-eat-dog world for a reason. Some animals eat other animals. Some other animals eat plants and plants. Plants get their energy from water and sun.
Also,
just like the
herbivores sometimes eat meat.
The cycle of life happens all around us. Now, before we play a Disney song about the circle of life or something, while food chains usually place plants at the bottom of it all, nature really does know how to give us surprises. On today's list, we're going to be going through 10 plants that
right now, I think you're just showing a beetle pollinating. It's not being eaten.
Actually eat animals. That's right.
Here comes some movie clips. Why do they love to use these? For being dramatic or whatever? These are not how carnivorous plants actually are, bruh.
There are some plants out there that benefit from animals rather than the other way around. Isn't that just a pretty cool and horrifying plot twist?
So this guy showed like 3 separate movies or something in an educational video. That's insane.
Like always, I saved the best for last, so
Little Shop of Horrors is a good movie. Why are you ruining it?
Make sure you stay with me until the
What the fuck is that? That is so fake.
End of the video.
What the...
These plants only eat little insects.
What are you showing? What the hell are you even showing at this point? Is this like 5 different movies? Let's count them.
On today's list, we're going to be going through 10
random
plants
beetle pollinating. It's not being eaten.
That actually eat animals. That's right, indeed. There are some plants out there that benefit from animals rather than the other way around.
2 movies.
Isn't that just a pretty cool and horrifying
3
plot
movies.
twist? Like always, I saved the
Little
best
Shop of Horrors is pretty cool. Don't ruin it.
for last, so make sure you
4
stay with me
movies.
until the end of the video. So
5
these plants
movies.
only eat little
What the hell even is this?
insects, but I'm sure you'll want to know what plant is the one that can eat lizards and even small mammals. Whether there's
6 movies. Jesus Christ, he will not stop. What the fuck? This dude is going so... This is the most movie clips I've seen in any of these videos. Oh my god. How many movie clips are you going to show? You might as well show, like, one of those Pokemon picture plants or whatever.
that can eat a human, well, that's for us to find out.
They cannot eat humans. Why do you have to lure in your toddler audience by asking that question? It's like asking if, I don't know. It's just, they can't eat humans, bro. You're saying, let's find that out, so your little toddler audience keeps watching.
On that note, let's begin.
Why can't you just show these actual nature videos like this, instead of the movie clips?
Number 10. Triphyophyllum. A lot of plants on this list, or perhaps all of them, will make you feel like they were taken right out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, you showed actual sci-fi movies that are not scientifically correct, so this is misleading.
At least that's how I feel about the Triphyophyllum, which we can also call liana. This plant goes through a ton of stages, so many that it makes you wonder if this is actually a work of nature or a result of a crazy and evil experiment.
Yeah, because that's how evolution works.
During its first stage, the liana grows its leaves, which have the shape of ovals. But then when it starts flowering, it also starts producing long and sticky leaves enough to
I also find it really funny that some of the clips he was showing, like one of them was literally just a flower with eyes, and he's like, yeah, that's carnivorous. Where even is the logic? A flower with eyes. Where is the carnivory there? And like this, who would even believe in that? Like a toddler? Like, come on. But like, I don't even think the person who made that animation was trying to make it carnivorous, bro.
Itself from insects. These leaves are capable of luring the poor insects and then catch them and even digest them. Toward the end of its life cycle, the liana's leaves are short and hooked, and they're about 30 meters long. But you don't have to worry about running into one of these in the wild unless you're in West Africa. and even then it's more of an annoyance to us humans. Number 9. The Portuguese sundew. You probably thought all of the
So you just showed two different species of plants. That very consistent right there. See how different they were? You see that?
Wild unless you're in West Africa. And even then, it's more of an annoyance to us humans.
So
Number 9.
Look how thin this is.
The Portuguese
And the build on it.
sundew.
And then you see this is different. Bro.
Probably thought all of the animal-eating plants on this list were probably found in humid or exotic locations like a remote jungle in the southern hemisphere. However, that's not the case
And
with
this is another species. Come on.
Portuguese sundew. This plant actually grows in soil that lacks a lot of the nutrients necessary for a plant's survival.
This is what is true about like most, if not all, carnivorous plants. It's not special.
You can find it in Portugal, Spain, and Morocco.
Isn't this another species?
So what can this plant do to make up for the lack of nutrients in the soil?
Why do all of these
Edens?
videos say Portuguese sundew, then show a bunch of random plants that are not Portuguese sundews?
Yes, of course. Just like many of the plants I have here today, the Portuguese sundew fascinates nearby insects with a tempting aroma. This then makes the insect get closer and ultimately get trapped by a sticky
Like, see how many different species he's showing? Like, oh my god.
substance on its leaves. The plant then is able to dissolve the bugs by using its specialized digestive enzymes and absorbs all of the nutrients that the Mediterranean soil fails to provide. That's what I call survival. You gotta do what it takes to stay alive in a place with limited resources, and the Portuguese sundew is an excellent example of that. Number 8.
Like, this might... I know I said the last one was the worst, but these keep getting worse, bro. He showed, like, 6 different movie clips. Like, oh my god. And then said these plants look like they're from sci-fi movies. As if that's if they actually look like them. Like, oh my god. And, like, some of those movie clips weren't even carnivorous. They were just plants with eyes. Like, bro, where's the correlation?
8. Brocchinia reducta. What if I told you that the pineapple has a very twisted relative? I know
Pretty
it's
sure pineapples, like, do some microscopic damage to your mouth, so it's not very surprising.
hard for us to think of plants the same way we do of animals and human beings, but plants are also living beings, and just like us, they're also split into families. And yes, the pineapple does indeed have a carnivorous relative, and it's called Brocchinia reducta. Both the Brocchinia and the pineapple belong to the bromeliad family, which also includes Spanish mosses and many succulents with thick leaves. The Brocchinia has long pitchers that allow it to absorb and reflect ultraviolet light, which makes insects go nuts. This plant then releases a smell like many others on this list, and the bugs can't help but come closer. And just like that, this harmless-looking plant ends the lives of many insects in Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, and Brazil. Experts in carnivorous plants were actually not sure this plant belonged to the group, but they finally learned in 2005 that the Brocchinia has those digestive enzymes that are common in animal-eating plants. Number 7. Roridula. The next plant I'll introduce you to is actually very evil. You see,
Evil. It's a plant. It is not sentient. It cannot be evil. It does not have a brain. It cannot be evil.
captures a lot of insects but doesn't actually eat them, and that's actually pretty messed up. There is an explanation though that will help us understand its behavior. The Roridula, which is originally from South Africa, has a lot of sticky hairs that help it capture insects, just so a bunch of other insects called Pomeridia can come and eat the Roridula's catch. What's in it for the plant? Well, the plant can get all the nutrients it needs from the insect's wastes. That is more than enough. In case you haven't paid attention to your science classes, let me throw a little term for you. This is what we call a symbiotic relationship, which is an interaction in which two beings benefit from each other.
I wish you had a symbiotic relationship with your teacher, because you clearly learned from, like, frickin' Gen Alpha, Skibbity Toilet, whatever. You learned from some sort of inaccurate source. You should have had a symbiotic teacher. You should have had a symbiotic relationship with some grass and go touch grass and actually get proper information.
The Roridula catches bugs for the Pomeridia, and the Pomeridia gracefully gives its waste back to the Roridula so they both can coexist in harmony. Nature is indeed quite crazy. I should also point out the fact that there are a lot of fossils of Roridula in Europe, in the Baltic region to be more specific. Some scientists believe these fossils are about 40 million years old, which could indicate that these plants were more common back then. Number 6.
Being leader of
And again, this is
communist
the
regime
thumbnail.
is
You can
not
see it's this
easy.
weird thing.
6. Butterwort. This plant right here is named Butterwort, and that's due to its huge leaves that look like they've been covered in butter. It is also known as Pinguicula, which literally means little greasy one, and I can totally see why. These plants don't lure their prey with sweet smells, but instead they trick them by making them believe their leaves are full of water drops. But in
Talking
fact,
about the leaves, but you were showing the flower.
this is not the case. You see, it's not water, but a sticky goo-like substance that traps the bugs and slowly dissolves them through some enzymes. If you come near one, you can tell when they've had a meal, as you'll probably see some insect leftovers on top of the leaves after they've sucked all the meat out of their poor victims. This plant can be found in North, South, and Central America, but it is also in parts of Eurasia. Some Europeans have found that the leaves of the butterwort were good to promote healing in the sores of their cattle. They also have used it in Sweden and Norway to make fermented milk products. It's good to know that those leaves are not just good for killing insects, but I think I'll stick to my regular milk. Number 5. The Venus flytrap. Probably the most famous one that everybody knows about, this carnivorous plant is probably the one you've all heard about before. It's been the inspiration for a lot of horror and adventure movies that involve plants that can potentially harm humans.
So, you're showing the movie clips again. Those are not how actual Venus flytraps behave.
In reality, though, these plants are not as big as you've seen them on the big screen or in video games.
Again, so you admitted it. Why'd you show them in the beginning? To lure in your toddler audience with dramatic content.
In fact, they're actually really small, and the diameter of the whole plant can be about 13 centimeters long.
So you're admitting what you were doing is basically just to clickbait people.
However, don't let their size fool you. They are still carnivorous plants and they behave as if they had a brain of their own.
Again, they use their trigger hairs. They don't have brains. They use the hairs. When the hair is pushed, when two hairs are pushed within 20 seconds, they close. It's not a brain.
Catch their food in their 2 centimeter long sticky traps. And they don't fall for debris or any fallen leaves. They'll only snap at the touch of insects and spiders, which will trigger the
Not only, the way they work is if two hairs are touched within 20 seconds, they close. So if a falling leaf or raindrop happen to do that, it will still close.
trap to shut through their movement. This plant is native to the wetlands in North and South Carolina in the United States. Unfortunately, and kind of surprisingly, this species of plant has actually been listed as endangered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, mainly due to population growth in the Carolinas. Hopefully they can come up with a way to preserve it, cause I know it is a scary looking plant, but it deserves to live long. Also, it's very surprisingly popular. Number 4. The Waterwheel plant. The Venus flytrap has an aquatic version of itself and it's called the Waterwheel plant. It doesn't need any roots as it floats on the surface of bodies of water amongst reeds and rice where it can catch small insects with its little traps. These ones, however, snap way faster than the Venus flytrap. They can react in as little as 1/100th of a second, which must be quite shocking for the bugs that end up becoming their victims. This plant has been found throughout different parts of the old world, and you can find it in Europe, Asia, Africa,
You're showing
and
a
even
different plant right here. You're showing the bladderwort, not the waterwheel.
parts of Australia. The plant spreads itself by sticking to the feet of birds. They carry it to a new aquatic destination. But today the plant is actually quite rare. It was already listed as extinct in some countries. Number 3. The Moccasin plant. And I guess we couldn't
And
leave
you're
a
showing a random flower, which is not carnivorous.
plant from Australia out of the list. After all, it's a very wild country where a lot of exotic species live, both animal and plant. So it makes sense that at least one of the plants on
Why
this
are you showing flowers which are not carnivorous?
list comes from there. And that would be
These
the
are not carnivorous plants, these are random flowers.
Moccasin plant, which was first found in the southwestern part of this huge country. Once again, like
Stop showing random flowers, these are not carnivorous, bro.
most carnivorous plants, the moccasin plant releases a sweet smell that brings insects close to its pitchers, which, by the way, are shaped like moccasins, and in those pitchers that
Those are flowers used for pollinating, not feeding. This plant is not carnivorous.
insects get eaten and digested. It's actually a very torturous event as the pitchers have translucency, which makes the bugs confused, and
This is not torturous, it is used for bugs to get the pollen. They survive.
knock themselves while trying to go through what they think is a way out of their suffering. Something odd about this plant is that it has features that make it more related to flowering plants rather than the
You're literally showing a flower. What are you talking about?
carnivorous ones. But then again,
And carnivorous plants are also flowering plants, but this flowering plant is not carnivorous. That bug is pollinating it.
some things in science can't be explained, and we have no choice other than enjoy and admire the twisted way in which everything functions around us.
So you're saying it's more like flowering plants than carnivorous plants when you're showing a non-carnivorous flowering plant. And actual carnivorous plants are still flowering. You're making no sense.
Now it's time for the day's best pick.
What sort of monstrosity are we gonna see? Oh, this shit. This is not real. It's like a statue.
Look at this picture.
It's
It
like
looks
the freaking plant from Mario, but like injected with 10 pounds of cocaine or something.
more like a snake rather than a carnivorous flower. There's even a tongue
The flowers are not carnivorous.
sticking out of it, for Pete's sake. Does this plant actually exist?
No.
Well, it does, actually. It might not have a tongue or teeth like the picture I'm showing to you, but I'm sure it does represent what the insects probably feel when they get eaten by these hungry plants.
This is not what they actually are, though. If you're saying this is what it represents to the insects, bruh, this is not what they actually are.
Number 2.
So you're just implying that it actually exists. Bro, you're just lying.
The Cobra Lily. Cobra, exactly. There's no better name to use for a plant that looks like a snake that is ready to attack. You can find the carnivorous plant on the west coast of the United States, in parts of Oregon and Northern Carolina to be more specific. Besides luring in bugs with a sweet aroma, which by now I'm sure you probably got tired of hearing about, the pictures of this plant work in a way that confuse and ultimately tortures its victims. They have a lot
Again, they cannot torture. They are not sentient.
of false exits that makes the bugs grow tired as they try to escape. While this plant is very popular and has been the subject of many studies, naturalists have not been able to determine how the cobra lily gets pollinated. I mean, what kind of insect gets a free pass? Clearly
Carnivorous plants use their flowers to pollinate like other flowering plants.
enough, there is an insect that comes to pick up the pollen from the flowers to help the plant reproduce. But no one really knows who the lucky one is. In California, the cobra
What are you even talking about? Carnivorous plants have flowers which extend above themselves. They have flowers which extend away from the traps, so insects can pollinate. I don't know what you're talking about.
lily is used for flower therapy, and it's said to help people who feel physically weak. I'm actually really surprised every time I hear people still get health benefits from carnivorous plants like this one. But I suppose stranger things have happened.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that
Like and subscribe for 10 years of good luck.
takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works.
100% authentic.
Number
guys.
1.
Real.
The tropical pitcher plant. I saved the best for last. At the top of my list here, I had the
So you're using footage from Ants Canada, which is an actual good YouTube channel, and butchering it for your horrible video.
tropical pitcher plant. You might be wondering, does it eat
You're using Ants Canada's footage for your shitty video, bro.
humans? Of course it doesn't, it's too small. No current.
What'd you say
I
about
saved
humans?
the best for last. At the top of my list here, I had the tropical pitcher plant. You might be wondering, does it eat humans?
No.
Of course it doesn't, it's too small. No carnivorous plant in the world has been known to eat humans, not even the huge Rafflesia.
That is not carnivorous. That's a flower, bro. That is used for attracting flies, which think it smells like rotting meat or something, to pollinate it. It's not carnivorous.
And that's not even a carnivorous plant, although people like to think so due to its size.
There you go. You said it.
However, the tropical pitcher plant can eat small lizards, amphibians, and even small mammals. So that's actually quite different to the insect-eating plants we saw throughout the video. This plant can feed from these animals due to the size of its pitchers, which can be a bit longer than 1 foot long. Digestion, however, is not a fast process, as it takes the plant around 2 months to process the meal. That is quite a long time, and there are more than 100 species of this plant, and you can find them in different parts of Southeast Asia, Australia, and even Madagascar.
The one you're showing right now is evolved to eat feces and not specifically insects.
I guess they like that island lifestyle. And do you want to know a fun fact? The pitchers of this plant are used by monkeys as drinking cups, and that's probably the most creative thing I've heard all day, actually. What do you think of these plants? And
So this is the end of the video. It's another pretty bad one. Thank you for watching.